We are Brightside Home Theater.
Hey, home theater nerds, welcome to the Brightside Home Theater Podcast. The Home Theater Podcast, it's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
the scenes. Very well done, Deej.
Do you like that?
I do.
I got ya.
Yeah. That
was
awesome.
good. I got you too.
The scenes. Ooh,
Ooh.
So you replaced me. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm always.
Expendable.
Yep. Expendables 5 right here. Unfortunately, yeah, we are short. None of us are expendable. We are short John today. John's a little under the weather, but good for him. I don't know if you noticed already in our little folder collection, he's already adding on to next week's show.
Oh, yes.
So he
Yes,
took in
good
something
stuff.
already today. So he's sitting on the couch, hopefully John getting well soon, feeling better. But yeah, he couldn't go today. He let us know this morning. So
And
I don't
just
think
in case these people are wondering, it's not a kitchen-related incident. So just so,
No.
as far as we know.
it's a good point. Good point. We need
Yeah.
to
Just
specify that because John isn't. Yeah. So too bad. We got a lot of stuff to get to though. And it's, I mean, I think if he was here, we would have had to drop some stuff. Because I was going through the show and I'm looking at it and then I was looking at your stuff and my stuff and, we got so much to get to, but yeah.
we do. Can I just say I'm loving the background, Deej. I'm liking the new background.
You like that? Thank you.
Yeah, I do. But I was thinking about this, and I thought to myself, it's not really very fair. If you're allowed to have your movie of the year more or less behind you, then I think it is only fair.
What did you do?
That I get to join in the fun.
There you go.
There you go.
Would
So
you
I
get a
think
green
that's
screen?
No, this is just normal. Hence why if I move out, you can see the back of my chair.
Yeah. Oh wow. How did you do? Is that in this app or do you have that?
Yeah. Just settings, virtual background. And
Oh.
I just downloaded the thing. So I thought, you're allowed one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, let's get rid
Yeah.
of that. Let's not argue.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to argue with you. To each his
I'm
own.
kidding.
Right.
I'm kidding.
Right.
I'm
It's
kidding.
just.
Yeah.
I mean. But yeah, we'll get to Oppenheimer over here a little bit later. I was gonna open the show going right to it. I got in. We'll talk about it then. But you've had a rough week. I've had a rough week. House is going well. I think they're spending my money. That's the good news, bad news. So they're spending my money. The dangerous part is we're early on and we're already way over budget. So, hey, how we doing? So
yeah, it kind of seems to go with the territory, doesn't it? There's a TV show over here called Grand Designs, and it's all about people that are building, really elaborate houses and stuff, and they always go ridiculously over budget.
We're not go. I have no choice. I have no choice. I won't go ridiculously over budget. I mean, we're at the foundation stage. So this part here, it's like excavation, foundation, all of that. It has to be done, right? There's no choice, So it's at the end where you're like, okay, obviously I have to have certain things. I mean, you have to do these things. So those things will get done. But what's not going by the wayside, but what's going to get put on hold? And I had a Zoom chat with the Patreon supporters yesterday, and I told them, I'm like, I don't know if I'll say it in the show, but why not? I'm like, but the home theater is like I have to, because we are that far over budget, and it doesn't mean it's not getting done. It just means it's not happening. Like my wife is the one more upset than me. Because she's like, she wants everything done for my sake, right? And I'm like, hey, we move in, I'll just bang it out. Because the basement has to get done and it's part of the plan. So, but actually finishing it as a home theater, that might have to come after I get occupancy, which is fine, and it's like, because it puts all
we fixed it
that money back.
We fixed it last week, Deej. We fixed it last week. Stadium boxes, just done. How easy peasy.
Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly.
Soundbar, CRT TV, 32 inches. I mean, if it was good enough for us in the 80s, it's good enough for us now.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, it's going to get done and I'm going to have my fun with it. I'm still having fun with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm still working out plans every day. I'm still changing my mind on things every day. I was there today, took some pictures. I take pictures of the lot every day so we could see the progress of it. And I'm looking exactly where I'm going to be sitting. It's like you're narrowing it down even more. So we're still going to go along. It's going to be a hell of a ride. I can't wait. And whatever gets put off, it's only because I'll be doing something else anyway. So it's all going to be fun. So,
but also, isn't there? Knowing you as I know you now,
don't make me cry.
Also, but isn't there a little bit of you that likes to stretch it out a little bit, to tinker with it, to the getting there is half the fun. Knowing you as I know you, I'm the opposite.
Yes,
I want it done.
Absolutely.
Because the creation of it is stressful to me. But I think you quite like the tinkering. The longer it takes, the more you get to tinker, the more you get to play with it. And that's kind of, there's fun in that as well. Would that be fair?
Absolutely. It's 100% fair. That's exactly how I do things. And it's like, I think it was Oppenheimer that I've seen twice today. There was a line in there where it's like, you can't pivot on this. We need plans or something. And it's like, but they're like, that's not how I work things. And I think they were talking to Oppenheimer. It's like, he's just like theorizing this stuff. And that's how I plan. And that's why, like, when I'm talking to people like Patreon supporters, they come in when we do those meetings with the patrons, we talk about plans and people like, you should do this and this and this. And it's like, I like to work on the fly. And it's like, I have a blueprint for the house. But then when I'm in there, I don't want, like, this wall might go this way. I'm going to move this way. I'm going to do this way. And I'm going to build it myself. And it's like, that's how I work. It's all up in here. I have it still sitting right there, my idea at the start. But I love it. Exactly like you said. It's like, I love the idea of just like, that's what I do. And it's just create on the go. And yeah. So, but I understand. It's like, not everybody has a brain like me. Thank God. Thank God.
I mean, I couldn't build my own house. I couldn't do it. One, physically, I couldn't do it. But more importantly, the stress of designing it, and even down to the sockets on the wall. And oh my God, knowing how stressed I got about the cinema room, and that's just a little garage. Doing an entire house would just blow my mind.
It's stressful, but as I talk to my buddies that are just like me, like Todd Anderson and a lot of other friends I have outside of home theater. And it's just, if we don't have it, I have a very good friend. She owns the restaurant uptown, and her husband, they're going through some stuff with the restaurant, and her husband's like, this is getting brutal. And I'm like, buddy, when you solve this problem, she's going to find another one. She's just like me. And he's just like Jen. Right. So it's like, we're like really good friends, but it's like, that's how we are. And it's like, every day she comes home and she's on the phone. And I looked at Jen and I'm like, that's me. Every day I come home, I'm on the phone. I'm doing something. And it's always been that way. Before I had the podcast, now that I have the podcast, and she's just like, that's him. That's what he does. So I'm always busy, always finding stress. And if you're not being stressed, I feel like you're not living. Yep.
Well, yeah,
Thanks.
Absolutely. Greg in the chat, says it's a process. Enjoy the journey. Yeah,
and it absolutely. And to your point, Steve, you don't enjoy that process, right? You just want to get it and be done. For somebody like myself that does enjoy that process, it's like, this is fun to me. And as hard, I'm more disappointed for you guys. I wanted to have this theater done faster, and it still might be. I don't know, but now I've got to reassess and move, and that's basically what I'm good at. It's like, all right, let's find the bright
And
side in
also,
it.
well, and also bright siding it is you're not going to double negative. You're not going to never have a home cinema because, of course, even when
Right.
you move out, you're still using Joe's, or it'll become Joe's,
Yeah.
yours at the moment. So it's not
Yeah,
as though
yeah.
you're going to go cold turkey for weeks and months at a time.
No, this one's
you're gonna
2
be-
miles away. This one's
Yeah.
2 miles away, and even like the shows, I probably won't be coming over here because I'll be working too hard on that, and that will be
Mm.
my experiences. Like we'll sit down, you guys will have experiences, and say it did come to this, and I have to move in and build it. I built this one in 6 weeks, and knowing what I know now, and this room will be closer to being completed when I move in than this place was. And even for 6 weeks, if it's okay, my turn in the rotation, here's what the wall I built, and here's what I did here, and here's I mean, it's all the experiences. So we're gonna have fun. So hey, the chat going strong. Thank you everybody in the chat. We got Greg, Kyle, Carl in the chat, Van Gool, Carl. They were there yesterday. Stephen at Eddie, how you doing, buddy?
Chat.
Eddie Trochez, all in the chat. Yeah. Steve George is in the chat.
Hey. Who's
Dominic Heffer. Dom,
Yeah.
he was there last night. He was there last night as well.
Man.
Great to meet all these people. Dom, I met for the first time last night at a Patreon meeting. Jordan, hey, buddy. Yeah, so thank you very much. All going good over there. Steve, buddy, you having fun on Twitter?
Yes. Yeah, that was all a bit weird. Hi, Nelson. He's in the chat as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what we want to say.
Oh, is
about
Nelson?
that.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Nelson.
Nelson just dropped in. Yeah, I don't know what we want to say about all that, other than isn't it funny when when things come back to haunt me from years later.
I don't know what that was. I don't know. I think it's funny. And hey, everybody, hey, thanks. Cool.
Every little
Van
helps.
Gool, you're the best, buddy. Thank you very much. Helping DJ with his home theater fund. Yep, and that'll go to Movember. Whoop. So, nothing's ever for me. I don't want it to be for me. Any money that we get is either going to a charity or it's going to go back into the podcast. So the more we make, the more fun we get to have. But thanks, Van Gool. I really appreciate that. I'll take care of myself. My wife's like, you got to ask for not that kind. I'll take care of myself. But Van Gool, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate it. What was I just saying?
Yeah,
I don't
Twitter.
know.
So yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I mean, it's someone who I blocked ages ago, and I can't remember why. As is
Yeah,
often the
but
case.
that's the way people. That's the way you do. You've done things in the past. I think you've slowed that down though, haven't you? Do you unblock people now?
Well, only adverts now. Adverts is what gets blocked now, constantly.
Yeah.
No, well, quite. But it's, So for those wondering what we're critically talking about, someone over the weekend decided to start hurling some low-level abuse, which kind of got through me to a certain way for someone that I'd previously blocked. And I managed to sort of see what it was they were saying. None of it made sense. And most importantly, and quite funny to me, was that they haven't blocked me. So they're hurling abuse, and I think kind of hoping that I'll unblock them and come back.
See, I've said before, I don't block anybody, and I love my Twitter feed. And I know back in the day, you're way more popular on Twitter than I am, and ever was, because you've been at it a lot longer. I used to just use it strictly for like the subjects I liked, hockey, home theater, stuff like that. That was about it. And so that's all I follow. And for me, that's how I manipulated my timeline in that is by just following those things. But you get a lot of people coming at you. And if you don't like it, you don't have to listen to it. You can just block them. I've never had to do that. And I don't do that. And I thought it was funny that we're all in there. You're on the show and it's like, and it was about show stuff. So I thought it was pretty funny. And that's what I think great though, too, to be fair. It's like John does his thing. He gets so super frustrated with social media. But then he's always on social media and he tells me about it. And I'm like, I don't go on it. So why are you telling me about, right? And then you get frustrated with it and you tell everybody what you're frustrated with. And then I call you out on it and go, thanks for putting it in my timeline. And then I don't do, but everybody's different. And that's what I think is funny. It's like, and fun too. And I think that's the problem. I've said it before. The problem with social media is we all just focus on that one subject that we happen to disagree on at that moment in time. And now all of a sudden we hate each other. But it's in reality, it's like you and I, once you come on the show, we hardly ever agree now, but we're like great friends. It's so funny.
Yeah, no, Jordan. I don't think it's that one, Jordan. It might be. Sorry, Jordan just says, was this the one related to Django? I'm not sure, mate, to be honest, because there's been more than one this weekend. There's been some show stuff, which we're talking about, but there's been some police officers hitting back about some bits. Most of the officers that follow me are lovely people and very, very sensible, but there have been one or two over the weekend who have been otherwise engaged. And so because that's the thing, DJ. I walk in two worlds on Twitter. I've got the legal world, and then I've got the home theater and movie world. And sometimes, people do this at the same time. So I'm not sure who it was. I'm certainly not about to say who they are on the show and give them any publicity.
No. I was just joking about it because I do think it's funny, and that's how I bring it to the show. I'm not upset at the people that said the things they said about you. I'm not upset about anybody doing. Everybody has their own thing, and it's just like, hopefully the more time that goes, you just all like, oh yeah, hey, whatever, talk about what you want to talk about.
Yeah, well, quite. It's all good. Like I said, I always think life's too short, and there's no time for that. So if it's someone that I just can't be bothered with, block, done, move on. Life's easier. And I'm not on any other social media. You see, I don't do Facebook, I don't do Meta, whatever you want to call it.
Me neither.
Or Instagram, Snapchat, any of that crap. I literally, it's Twitter and that's it. And I've just not got the time to be dealing with people that do my head in. So it's just easier to just go block, move on, rather than engage in a row. It doesn't get you anywhere.
I literally, if Twitter went away, which a lot of people speculated, I don't think it will. But if it went away, I'm not even going anywhere else. I'm gonna go the Brent Butterworth route and be like, we have the show. I don't need social media. I did to get it going, right? And then I'll be like, you can email me and do this there, and it's there's only so much time in the day, and that's why I'm not gonna go chasing everything. So. But John Thompson's in the chat. Yep.
Well, we know you're a supervillain, Steve. Tell them all your superpower.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. No, that'll get me caught. And then Van Gogh, good old Van Gogh, says, "I'm like you, Steve. I've got my work that I like and my home theater life." Well, I do. I've learned over the years since first coming on Twitter that actually you've got to do things a certain way. And I got into trouble with work a couple of times in my early days on Twitter with saying things about public bodies that they didn't like very much, and they complained to my boss, and I ended up having to sort of
That's
delete
tough.
tweets. So I've learned to be a bit careful. Occasionally I still vent, but it's all good. And I always remember, of course, Deej, that giving this platform that we've got that obviously represent the show as well as everything else, and so that's something that I'm always very wary of. But there it is.
I'm not. As long as we keep to the subject, we're good. It's when you veer off it, and we have at times, but that's cool. No, not you. I had with people on here before, but yeah, to each his own. And it's you have it's the varied just like, I mean, it's not even a joke. It's like we all have different opinions on everything in home theater, and that's just one small microcosm of life. But that's everything. Me and my wife don't agree on anything, but we share everything. Right? It's like, all right, we'll compromise here, compromise there. So,
good job. Fair play,
all right.
We love you, Steve. We have your back.
See, we have your back.
This is a safe space, Steve. Safe space.
Exactly. So, thanks, John. He needed that.
Well, up to this week, yes, there's been a lot going on this week, guys, which again, DJ and I have been talking off air. But so there's lots going on. But cheers, John. I'm dying to ask you, John, what you thought of Wish, which he's seen, the new Disney animated movie. But I'm sure it's embargoed, so he probably can't tell. But there we go.
Yeah, my bandwidth is so short. It's so narrow. It's like, and I'm really starting to say that stuff I'm like really starting to realize like my personal bandwidth on how things affect you and everything. And it's like, I don't even know what that is, Steve. I have no idea. Movies are coming out. I had no idea about.
It's the new Disney animated
don't have
movie.
It. Yeah.
From the Moana type, it's not Pixar, it's a separate one. But so I'm dying to find out what it's like. But okay. Oh well, fair play. So
Cool.
John says, I thought it might be embargo, John. Don't get yourself into trouble, buddy. Said my son loved it, liked it too. It was fun. So yeah, okay, good stuff. Oh,
best Disney film for ages. Look at that.
Right now, I am intrigued.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Oh,
Good. I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, future episode.
Yeah. Let's see. What do we want? Let me see. Oh, there we go. I'm just looking. I'm trying to organize how we do things here. So, all right. Are you ready to? Do you have anything else you want to just get to all of our experiences? Because my tweak of I have two tweaks of the week this week, but they're both going to be kind of incorporated into our experiences from the week too, which is kind of cool. But yeah. So we got a ton to get to. What's your timeline like today? I know you're tired, but you gotta.
Yeah. Let's go till I drop. No,
perfect. It could be 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's done. Midnight-ish would be great, mate. Just
okay.
But we're not.
Sounds good.
It's not like cut off time, but about that would be great.
Yeah. Okay.
Not
sounds
your time.
Good.
Not midnight your time.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to our real home theater experiences for the week, and that's spelled with REER. REEL. You can talk. Go ahead.
Okay. So let me just clarify. Your wife was an English teacher.
Yeah.
Are we spelling real?
Well, let me. Yeah. Okay. My spelling is as good as my head. She was an English teacher. She transitioned to a therapist.
Says it all. There you go. Just for you.
She found that it was like, I feel it's more important that I get some education to help this guy out. The language thing just isn't working, and it really doesn't matter. So yeah, no, we both love helping people and educating and teaching, and so in our therapy part, and it's like, yeah. So, but yeah, she helps me. Why? How are you supposed to spell real?
Well, not with a second R.
Oh, not REER. Right. I was like, oh my God, is it not REEL? I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
But yeah, real as in cinema reel. Like, yeah. So
let me just ask this a minute, because I always like to know where people are. So Dominic says it'll be midnight in 37 minutes for me. So
he's in France.
You're an hour ahead. Oh,
he's in France. Yeah. Representing from France. He, like I said, he was in the chat last night, and a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Nice. Okay, well, it's an hour and 37 minutes then, Dominic, just so you know.
For you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's an hour ahead of you. Look at that.
Yeah.
Some of us.
So Ian says some of us are up for work at 4 a.m. Yeah. And some of us don't go to bed and work right through and then do the full next day. That's one of the things that caused issues over the weekend.
Yeah, I saw that part on Twitter.
Yeah.
All right.
Paul's the same. Yeah, Norway, of course, the same. 36 minutes. Anyway, we're doing time checks. Sorry, guys, we've got a lot to get through.
That's fun. No, it is fun to know like all these people on around the world that are in the chat. Yeah, it's like I'm telling you, I had it in my notes. The one thing from the 24-hour show that I was a little disappointed in. We've got to get somebody in Africa and Antarctica. Okay, so
it's funny you say that. It is funny you say that.
Well, I'm trying to hit all the continents. I know we have people in Australia. They just weren't on the show.
Where is
but
Mangold?
I had
right. Look at this, Teach.
My wife is oh no! Oh, we got to get her on. We got to get her on, or at least you got to get her to listen to the podcast while she's there. Because John and I we got linked to when we were doing chat. We did get linked for a credit of somebody in Antarctica listening to our podcast, so that would be cool. And but I did say I'm like I know we don't have any. We did have somebody in chat in Africa at one point. I've never seen it on home theater, but in Antarctica, you gotta have somebody down there watching stuff on home theaters, because what else is there to do, right? It's like you sit down and watch a movie after you like go out and shovel the driveway. Yes. I don't
hunt the penguin.
You don't hunt them.
Jeez. Oh, sorry. Did I say that? Sorry.
You said that out loud.
Observe the penguins.
Yeah. All right. First one this week. I have a scene. I haven't done a scene in a while. But I've got this scene from Loki season 2, episode 5. You can't really make it out when it translates over to YouTube there. You can see I could see it clear as day down here. It's at 32 minutes and 58 seconds. But you may want to, let's just say, start this at 32:50. All right. This is, in my opinion, one of the home theater demo scenes of the year. For those, if you haven't seen it, and I know you haven't, Steve, it will not spoil anything for you. Just go to this scene, put it on, turn it up to your normal, what you consider reference volume, sit back in that prime seat and listen to the sounds, watch the sights. It's amazing. But the sounds, you can see here that she has headphones on. So they open that scene, like if you went, like I said, 32:50, she starts listening to music. The music starts playing, but then the action that goes on around her, which if you aren't this far in the show, you won't even know what the heck's going on anyways. Most people get to this part and we still don't know what's going on. So it's not going to spoil anything for you. So you go to this scene and it probably lasts about 2 minutes, but the sound and the way things move, it starts barrel rolling. And the music barrel rolls, the music goes to the rear of the room, it goes to the action, whatever's going on. And all the while she's sitting there like this, but everything's happening around her. It's an absolute, if we get this physically, it's going to be a just go-to scene, because it's kind of like what they do in Maverick when they do the rolls on the planes and you're like, whoosh, whoosh, and the stuff goes around the room, or when he does the flip and what do they call it, the Cobra move or whatever, when he came up on them and then they went down, you hear that stuff and moving in your overheads. This is an Atmos and it's in your overhead, and they utilize the room so good that I mean, like I said, if you're not into Disney or Loki, but you have Disney Plus, even if you're into it, you just haven't seen it yet, I don't think it's going to spoil it for you at all. Just watch these 2 minutes and I think you'll be thoroughly impressed. It had a lot of good scenes this season, but I enjoyed the series. You and I were talking before. My son and I really, really enjoyed the series. The great story. The 2 seasons of Loki are a fully self-contained story. You don't even have to have seen the MCU. You'll get to know the characters. It's pretty good. Having more background in the MCU is nice, but home theater wise, this season was pretty good. It's not like Star Wars and like Ahsoka was. You're not going to be like blown away through the entire season, but I got to this part and it was like, I was like, oh wow. I was like, I had to go back. My son and I watched these nonstop, like without pausing. And I'm like, I got to go. I knew where we were in the show. And I was like, I got to go back and watch that again. So I grabbed this. So it's season 2 for people not on YouTube right now, the audio only. It's Loki season 2, episode 5, 32 minutes, 50 seconds. And I'm telling you, I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's and save it there when you're done. If you're not watching it, just save it there. And then when friends come over, you go back to that and it'll start right up. I've done that so many times with Daredevil season 1. I have the walk around the taxi cab scene. Do you remember that one, Steve? And it's like, I love that. And that was way back in 2015.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna buy Loki season 1 when it comes out here in December. And then I think I'm going to rewatch that physically. And then go straight into this, and hopefully I'll get more from it. Is it bad, by the way, that my OCD, my very particular nature, is rankling at the state of that sofa? Maybe it's just me. But what a mess!
I know. Yeah. You know what's actually really cool about this? She's in a record shop. Okay.
Right. Okay.
She's in a record shop, so that's like a throwaway couch they put at the back, so you could put on headphones and listen to sample some of the music. But that's a great point. This record shop, I was saying, the one thing I did say to my son during this scene as she walks into the shop, this shop is a little smaller, a little larger, wider than the Laserdisc store that I used to go to. And it was like a dead ringer to me. I was like, that's like the only difference is Dave was set up on the long wall. This one here has you walk in on the wall at the front, and the guy working at the register there at the desk is down the far side. But it was just like, I don't know if you've ever been to a just Laserdisc only type store. It's just like a record shop, right? Because it's basically it's the same thing. They look the same. And it was just, and it wasn't until this scene that I realized, I'm like, man, I had upwards of 250, maybe a little over 250 laser discs. And I remember, but Dave's place, he had like multiple copies, of course, but he had probably thousands of laser, and they were spread. And like, you would just come in, and I would, if nothing big came out that day, I would go through like back catalog stuff and start looking and shopping, and it just kind of like you do with vinyl, right? But it's like, I was like, oh man, that would be kind of cool to have. But like we talked last night in the patron chat, it was like, you don't want to watch that stuff again. You can't. No. It's not like vinyl. It doesn't play as well nowadays
no.
on our systems. Yeah, no. It actually would sound pretty good, but it wouldn't look good at all.
Certainly not on any kind of screen of any real size. It's going to look dreadful. But yeah. We moved on.
Yeah. So, all right. Let me see. What do we? I never did the notes. I don't even know what we got next. Oh yeah, here we go.
I do,
and I know you do, because I read it to you, and like you said, you've got a far smarter memory than I do.
No,
because you actually have one. I'm like, squirrel. All right, you ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Okay, so this is Duel on 4K Ultra HD disc. In Dolby Atmos. And of course, you talked about it a few weeks back, didn't you, when you had it on Kaleidoscape? And you were very impressed with the Kaleidoscape version of this. Well, no, now I know why.
Oh, okay. Here we go again. Oh, what happened?
It's gone now.
We lost. You could keep talking. I'll pull up the link.
Yeah, no
somehow
problem.
I lost my internet to my laptop.
So so the new disc, it's just come out here 2 weeks ago, I think, or thereabouts. I'm getting confused. There's so many discs out at the moment. But it's very, very, very good. And this is one of a couple of films this week that we're going to talk about that gave me a completely new appreciation for the movie, which I already enjoyed anyway. Duel is one of those movies that I've always liked, never loved it, but I always liked it. And when I saw it most recently prior to this on Blu-ray, I remember thinking, that was okay. I hadn't seen it for a long time. I'd forgotten about a lot of the voiceover stuff. And when I saw it on Blu-ray, I was a little bit kind of, I don't know, I found it a little bit odd. But now rewatching it like this in 4K, Dolby Atmos, I absolutely loved it. I was transported into this film, if you'll forgive the pun, than I've ever been before. I really, really enjoyed this. So movie's great. It looks phenomenal. The HDR on it looks great. The detail levels are brilliant. The red of the car has never looked more saturated. The detail. I remember you talking about the detail on the truck.
Yes,
and sure enough, I mean, I didn't realize the fenders are pink.
It's exactly
and I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, they're each different panels have different colors. They're discolored in a different way, like almost like it's been repaired with pieces from other trucks, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that I noticed, I'm like, in my head, I hadn't seen this in years, but not as long as a lot of people. Like I have seen it over the years. But did you notice there's no bumper grill? Like there's no grill, but my memory, because the truck is so angry, my memory of it was there was a grill. And then when you see it like this so pristine, you're like, where'd the bumper guard go? Where'd the push bar go, And there wasn't one.
Bar, or whatever they call it.
And it looks so good.
I mean, the blue of the sky against the kind of desert, the brush of the desert and all this. I mean, it looks absolutely amazing. I found myself kind of being hypnotized by the sort of the stubble on his face, on the main character's face, the way, just generally kind of, and his tie and the texture of the tie and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's incredible. Really, really good. And so it looked amazing. And then I was very, very pleased with the audio as well, which I did not expect anything of. I wondered if this would be an Atmos track in name only, which sometimes happens, not often, in fairness, but sometimes.
Yeah.
But right from the beginning, as soon as he goes through one of those tunnels, as the car is driving at the beginning, and that goes right up and over the overheads into the back of the screen, and that happens 2 or 3 times just in the credits. You know you're in for a fun Sonic experience, and sure enough, that's what happens. The truck has never sounded more threatening. David's car has never sounded more useless. And actually the playoff between those really does bring the tension. And so I thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. This isn't just looks better than it's ever been. It's not just sounds better. The delivery system really makes a difference, and actually makes this movie better for me than it's ever been before. It really does enhance the film. And again, we're going to talk about another film in a bit as well in a similar way.
Talk about a few of them.
So it's very, very good. This is the way to see this film. I mean, forget the Blu-ray, forget DVDs or anything else. This is the way to see it. And pick it up, guys. Anyone that doesn't have it, get it. Dominic's just saying they got the 4K Steelbook today. So prepare for awesomeness, Dominic, as I like to say, because it's really, really good.
Remember that the scene that I was talking about when David's standing in the road, and it's like I think the skyline or the sun's behind him or something, just the lighting of that shot, and knowing all of that was done practical. You know what I mean? And we're going to get a little bit into that a little later too, but just like there was no there was no CGI. You weren't doing, everything was done practically. It's like, oh, look at the sun right now and the way the clouds are. Get the camera.
Magic hour.
It was amazing to see. And it's like, like I said, I don't think anybody's really seen this like this, because when it came out, it was like TV, and it was in the theaters, but it didn't look this good. And
not even close.
And it's just, I was blown away by how good it was. I mean, I kind of have a, I don't know what you would call it, but a fascination with the movie, because I was into home theater. I got this job at a factory, and it was years later. And a friend of mine, who's not into home theater at all, he's the one that introduced me to this movie. I'd never heard of it. And he introduced it to me with a bootleg VHS tape, and he's like, recorded from television, I believe. And he's like, you have to see this movie. And I was like, oh, okay, let me see. And this is one of those where it's like, now 4K with Atmos, it's the combination of everything. We have a great story that you can see this on watch it on your 15-inch television in your living room with one speaker, and the pacing of it and the terror, especially back then, because your perception is only what it is, right? It's gauged by what you've experienced around you. Nobody ever experienced home theater. So watching this at home, you were like, and then nowadays you have this. And I was just talking about this weekend too, talking about Carl and Unhinged, and how it was like, I asked him, and I remember I told you I felt bad. Like, should I ask him? Because you don't want to make it sound like you took Unhinged from Duel, but he's like, no, he like leaned right into it. And I'm talking about Carl Ellsworth, the writer of Unhinged. And I'm like, he just like leaned, no, it was a huge influence, and I wanted to do this, and because things have changed since then, and I wanted to do this, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so awesome, So yeah, I thought that was really cool. But what I think, it's a historic movie, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people haven't seen it, but I do think it's one of those movies that that if you're into home theater or you like great stories, I think this is one of those that it really is a historic movie. So.
It is. I mean, it's timeless, and just as good, now as it's ever been. But this way of seeing it is transformative, and it's really, really pleased with this. And Universal have been a little patchy with their discs of late, and yet this is a
talk
real
about that
winner.
in a minute.
Yeah. So Nelson, do you want to read that, Dave? Do you want to do that?
Yeah, Nelson in the chat saying, I just saw this for the first time in a while. It was awesome. The sound was great. It was like I was in the truck. Jordan hasn't seen it yet. Haven't watched Duel on 4K yet, but it's great to know the 4K is fantastic. Theo coming in. I believe Theo's in Australia, if I remember right. Duel is a fun movie. Carl's picking it up when it's on sale. Come on, buddy. Support the medium. Pay full price. Stephen at Duel is on my wish list. Maybe real Black Friday. So yeah, highly recommend Duel, these movies and stuff. So, but yeah.
And as I say, especially this way, don't stream it because it won't be like this. Don't, get the disc, see it. You'll be so glad you did. It's great.
Yeah, it is really, really good. So, anything else on that?
No, that's it. It's awesome. Moving on.
That's it. That's the one part. We're good at talking about something. We're just not good at transitions. How do we go on to the next thing? All right, here we go.
Let's just keep on trucking.
Oh, look at you. All right. This next one is our first one that has a tweak of the week in it. And that's kind of came from the tweak of the week. So let's get to Captain America, the Winter Soldier. So this one came about because it's been weeks now that I've been mentioning my tweak of the week, and this tweak of the week is brought to you by your local eye care professional. Didn't that sound like we actually were sponsored for a second there?
Yeah,
I've never. I swear to God, this is going to pay off home theater wise. But I've never had my eyes checked since I was 16 years old. When I was 16 years old, I'd never had my eyes checked. I'd never gone for braces. I'd never done anything like that. And the week my girlfriend went on vacation as a 16-year-old, she goes down to Cancun with her family. My mother takes me to get glasses and braces. So luckily, I could have used braces, but I refused it. And glasses, I had better than 20/20. So I went my whole life without glasses, kind of like with my NHTs. So, and it's kind of that, it kind of plays out like that. So I go to the eyeglass doctor place I've been taking my kids. Great guy, Dr. Greg. He puts me through the tests. I'm going to speed it up a lot. I end up with 20 in my 20/25 in my right, 20/20 in my left. So it's not really a big difference in my eyes, right? But what it does make a difference, but they are, oh man, what's the word? They're not round.
Varifocal?
No. It's
concave, convex.
No, my eyes. I have astigmatism. Okay, so I have astigmatism to my eye, which means, as they explained to me, when you're younger, you can power through it, right? And as you get older, it's just harder for you to adjust to everything. So like by the end of the day, I'm like this on my phone, squinting, trying to read stuff because I'm fatigued. So it's just because you get tired. And I noticed that over the last 5 years. Still see everything fine driving, everything like that. But I was excited to do this for home theater because I'm like, is this going to improve my experience in my room? And I got to tell you, I am blown away. And that's why I am going back through the Marvel universe. I went back through all 3 Star Wars, the original Star Wars movies. I went back through, I haven't gone through Terminator 2 yet, but I've gone to some of the scenes. But I chose Captain America Winter Soldier because to talk about just briefly about that part. But when this came out, and it was, I want to say it was 2014. I looked it up, but I had this in the list for last week. And I don't have my notes anymore, but I think it was 2014, if I remember right. You can look it up, Steve. But this was many, many years before I had the podcast. And just to give you guys an idea, this is what I did. This came out on digital weeks before, and it dropped on a Sunday. It was weird. So I bought it. I watched it twice. And the reason I know this is we were having a brunch. We were inviting people over the house for 11 a.m. on a Sunday. And I'm like, come on over, blah, blah, blah. And I had already watched this twice, Captain America Winter Soldier. I know this movie pretty much inside and out. And then you get to that, you get past the opening scene, on your left, which is gorgeous in 4K HDR. Such an improvement because I'd seen it so many times on Blu-ray. And then you go to the, they get into the, they're in the back of the plane, right? And, you know, Black Widow's sitting there telling him, you got to get a date and blah, blah, blah. But it's very dark in that plane. Then he jumps out and they go, did he just jump out without a chute? Yes, he did. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, but it's very dark. So watching that so many times in, again, Blu-ray with I've started with a 720 projector, went to a 1080, then to a 4K, and add in the Lumigen. Well, now add in prescription lenses. It's what this did is it was just amazing because one of the first scenes that I went to was, and you'll see it in the top corner there, Endgame and Infinity War. And there's a scene in the beginning of Infinity War where, you know, they're in, it's Doctor Strange and Tony Stark are talking. And this is where the glasses paid off for me. It's not that much of a difference. It's like a 1% improvement. And as my doctor said, he's like, he goes, you don't need glasses. It's just a refinement. I'm like, perfect. All right, cool. So like it's a 1% improvement, but there's a scene when Banner, Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, they're all talking there just before they get attacked again. Banner's already come through the ceiling. And what they do is they take Banner and he's just that 1% out of focus. And Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., is in focus. And then they do the same thing with Doctor Strange and they go back and forth. Now, I don't need to do anything to A/B this. All I got to do is this. That 1%, and this is why I've been so excited to tell everybody this. And it's like, I almost want to swear. Don't let anybody effing tell you that 1% doesn't make a difference and it's diminishing returns, because that 1%, and this is objective, not subjective, that 1%, if you're blurring everything by 1%, then when you go to see, you can't tell the difference between the thing that's being blurred by 1% and the thing that you're blurring by 1%. They look fairly equal, so you're not getting that extra sense of depth. So that 1%, if you can improve your picture, your quality of your image on your screen, maybe you have perfect vision, you already have corrective lenses, but if you can improve your picture by 1% and that pulls that out for you, you're getting what I just talked about, right? I could never see that. Now, that doesn't mean that everything I experienced before was wrong. That was my perception, right? And it looked great to me because I did get the depth that I wanted, that I knew, that I experienced. I mean, everyday life, it's the same depth, right? You put these on and now all of a sudden I can see what I'm supposed to see. And you see that exact cutoff of where you go from crisp lines to depth to, you know, blurring for depth and everything. It like my entire library is brand new. It's like, oh my God, you know, and then going to this and that opening scene, I mean, the Capitol looked amazing as they're running around. And then you get into, like I said, you're in the back of the plane or whatever they call the thing. And the detail that you're seeing, the detail in their costumes, how deep the blacks are. And now I'm seeing gradations that I probably couldn't see before, but they're very, very minor. But it's like Nelson, when he saw that, you know, on the kaleidoscope, he's like, hey, that little red light up in the corner there is a little bit off. And it's like, you've got to see this stuff over and over and over to know the difference and experience the difference. And I'm like, holy crap, it's absolutely amazing. I'm loving my content, going back through everything. And it's so much fun too, because I'm like, this is where it's like the kaleidoscope pays big time for me, because I'll be like, oh, this guy's in this. Oh, I haven't seen that movie. Let me go over to that one. And you're just jumping around. It's like my entire catalog is brand new again. And it's like if it came out with without having it to go to 8K, I feel like I just upgraded everything another resolution or something. And I'm telling you, it's at 1%. That's it. I mean, one of my eyes is fine, 2020. The other eye is 2025. And I dial everything in. Like you said, you refine it. It's great. So don't let anybody tell you 1% improvement doesn't mean anything, because it can literally mean everything. So, but yeah, that's my tweak of the week. That's Captain America Winter Soldier, which is an awesome movie. hadn't seen that one in a little while, but oh man, so good. So, all right. Whew. A little excited, Steve. A little excited on that.
Hey, man, no, man, you've been.
You know how long I've held on to that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. You have been waiting weeks to do that, so you've got to, finally unleash the beast. So good man.
I didn't even know what I was going to be able to say. I'm like, what do I remember? And then once it started flowing, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to swear. I'm so excited.
That only happens when it's dark side DJ. Come on.
Yep. Van Gool, it's like I just went to the eye doctor last week for new contacts. And yeah, it's if you've never been, and you should get your eyes checked, definitely. Just for no other reason, just to get a baseline. But like Van Gool, if you're going to get now, for people that wear glasses, are you excited? Like I was like, all right, I'm getting a new prescription. So because you're like anything else, things degrade over time and you don't perceive it as it's degrading. So do you get that bump every time? Like, 5 years from now, do I get a new prescription? Do I get to do this all over again? Because I'm pretty psyched for that. That's pretty cool. Or knowing me, I'll probably go back and I'll be like, I'll be calling my doctor. I'll be like, yeah, I got to come in because, Bruce Banner and Tony Stark, they look the same to me right now. He'll be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, I'm not getting the definition.
Yeah, he'll be referring you to a completely different doctor if you start saying things like that, Deej.
Yeah,
On the white coats, men, they'll turn up.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, Jordan. Oh yeah. Winter Soldier is one of the top 10 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for me personally. Yeah, it seems to be the consensus. Pretty much falls in the top 10. I think it was in the top 5 for a while. I don't know if anything, but pretty much top 10 now that we've got like 33 of them. And yes, Theo in Australia. So there we go. We got Australia. Now Theo, I'm putting you on the spot, buddy. I got to get you on the 24-hour show next year. So we got continent. We got that done. We've got India. We've got Europe. I think we've got Canada. Canada is North. Oh, we need South America. I'm sorry. So we need South America.
Or, well, what I'll do, I'll just
Africa and Antarctica.
Tend to be Spanish, Deej. No one will know. And I've got a sombrero somewhere. I'll just put that on, and no one will know. Or we'll get John to get Lydia on for 5 minutes, and then we've done Mexico. That's done.
Well, is Mexico part of North America
Central
or South America?
Isn't it? I think it's more.
Yeah, but
America.
I don't think Central America is a continent, though.
No, indeed.
You know
okay. Well, look,
I can't remember which one's. I think it stops at the Panama Canal. So that would still be, I think Mexico is still considered North America, and then everything below if I remember right. It's probably the equator, actually.
Yeah, I'll just speak in Spanish for an hour. It'll be fine. It's good practice for me, and it's all good.
Do you want me to text my daughter? She's been to Ecuador, so she would know probably all of that stuff.
Ecuador. Yeah. That's it. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what trench is in Mexican or Spanish, but I can give it a try. Hey, I redeemed myself over Barbie, so
yeah, you did.
Dig myself.
Yeah, you did. Now you're digging another hole.
The trench. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Right.
So, all right. All right. You ready for your next two? We're going to double these up. Are you excited for this?
Yeah.
Are you really? All right.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah. All right. Let's go.
Okay. Apologies for my crap picture, guys. Let me just apologize for that because this is not a good picture. Because it looks really proper grainy and weird. Okay, this then, ladies and gents, is Hellraiser from the newly released Quartet of Torment 4K Hellraiser box set, which came out here a few weeks ago. And as we know, Halloween is all year round for me. And so I thought I'd give this a go. Now, Hellraiser's a movie. Have you seen it, Deej? I don't know if you said you had.
It's one of my favorites. I haven't seen it in many, many years, but it is one of my favorites from the 80s when I was a kid.
Okay, well, prepare to get excited once more then in that case.
I can't wait for October.
So this is the second of the movies that are transformative in 4K. And so I always liked Hellraiser more than loved it. Similarly, I always thought it was kind of, a bit we talked about, I think we talked off air about it actually. Me and John talked off air about it, and I always found it a bit of a weird film. It's very strange, kind of psychosexual, kind of horror, very odd movie. And as I said, I always kind of liked it, admired it more than loved it. And I've seen it relatively recently. I had the Blu-ray and I watched that. However, this time round in 4K, seeing, I think it's DTS HD Master Audio, so upmixed to Neural X, and this was way better than I have ever seen it before, and took a movie that I admired and made it a movie that I really, really enjoyed, as much as you can enjoy a movie where people are being ripped apart with hooks and various other things. But still, it is me talking about. Yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought this was great. And the reason it was so good is that now, in addition to this unusual story, the visual effects, mainly the stuff at the end is a little bit ropey, but the visual effects, the practical makeup effects, the way in which this has been done looks absolutely stunning in 4K. Every bit is icky and kind of uncomfortable and gruesome and grisly, as I think they wanted it to be, but it's been given this extra kind of layer of awesomeness in 4K. It looks unbelievable. All of the reds are as deep red and of the blood and everything else. All of the sort of slimy, sticky makeup effects look gruesome, as I'm sure they wanted them to look. And the black levels are fantastic. The contrast is amazing. One of the characters is wearing a white blouse for most of the movie, which just glows, and it is stunningly done. It is grainy, again, these, we talked about, check your grain kind of filters at the door. You've got it takes a little bit of adjustment because it was a low budget movie, very low budget, in fact. And so there is grain to it, but it's well resolved. It's not obtrusive. It looks absolutely stunning. And the audio is really, really good as well. There are some quite big scenes in there that of storms and everything else. So I was very, very, very pleased with this. Now, I don't know, because I've only watched the first two for reasons I'll explain in a minute. But I don't know whether you need to buy the whole box set. I mean, it was £60 or thereabouts here. So I don't know whether you need to buy all of them, because they do reduce in quality as they go on. So if you can get Hellraiser in 4K on its own, get it for sure. But if you want to have the whole lot, then, by all means, buy the box set. It's an Arrow release, as you can see from that picture. But this is exceptional, really, really good. And so, yeah, put this on your October list then, Deej, because it'll be, I don't know if it's on Kaleidoscape though. If it's Arrow, do they get Kaleidoscape versions or not?
They do have a working relationship with Arrow, from what I understand. I can't remember other films that have been sent over to them, but it's not right now. Hellraiser is not in 4K right now.
Okay.
If it was, I'd have it. I would have grabbed that right away as soon as that's one for me that it's. So when they'll do, like, one we'll talk about at the end, drop today, and I tweeted about it, but we'll wrap up with it. But when stuff like that drops, you're like, oh, I gotta have it, right from the anything that just jogs your memory like that and of the 80s when you were a kid, and you're like, Hellraiser's definitely one. So. And if it doesn't, I'll just grab it. I'll just grab it physically, and
you'll have a blast with this. If you've got a relationship with the film anyway, this will do for you. I'm 100%
this is 88. Am I right?
Yeah, 87, 88. Yeah, I think
88.
Yeah.
I think Jen and I saw this together because she likes horror movies. She liked them then. I'm pretty sure she was my girlfriend at the time. She very well may not have been. She may have just been my friend at the time. So yeah, but yeah, I loved this movie.
This as I said,
That's
this
fun.
will do for you the same thing that Jewel did, in terms of, whoa, this is a completely different experience. And I use that word deliberately, it is an experience. And like The Thing, and I know obviously you switched it off quite quickly, but the visual effects in The Thing hold up so well, and they're so cleverly done. And this is another one that does not, the 4K doesn't undermine the effects, it actually enhances it. It makes it even more tactile and difficult to sort of watch. It's as icky as it's trying as it always wanted to be.
Nice.
But previously, previously on the the DVD and even the Blu-ray would have been so murky you can't really make it out. But in this version, you can see it all, and it's great. So yeah, you're going to love this, Deej. You really will.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Put this to your top of the list.
Travis in the chat. Travis, I hadn't seen him. Oh, there he is back there. I didn't see him earlier. Clive Barker's books, stories are awesome. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they are.
That was the other thing. Anything in the 80s when you saw something with Clive, you were like, "Whoa, gotta go check that out." So
yeah.
You want to just move right into the next one?
Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, we go from kind of one extreme to the other.
Pop right over to that one. Oh, really? Yeah. That's too bad.
Yeah, story wise. Okay, so I having watched Hellraiser, I then, because again this box set comes with the first four movies, and I thought, you know what? And I'd seen Hellraiser before, but I don't think I'd ever seen this. So I thought, right, I'll give this a go. So on was Hellbound Hellraiser 2, which still looks very, very nice in 4K. Still preserves lots of icky kind of stuff. Sounds decent. But the story on this for me is just ludicrous. This movie makes no sense whatsoever. And even, and I appreciate, but even within the world of the box and the Cenobites and everything else, this just is ridiculous, this film. And I was struggling with this one. So not a patch on the first one, but it still looks and sounds good. So it's of a piece with the box set. And because I was so disappointed with this, I haven't watched 3 and 4 yet. This was my Hellraiser viewing, just stopped in its tracks. Excuse me, because the reviews on IMDb just go off a cliff after this one, and I thought, right, well, if this is that bad, then I'm not going to rush to see 3 and 4 because there's so much other stuff to see. So this kind of ended my Hellraiser journey for the foreseeable. So it's not yet, but I understand there are some people that really like Hellraiser 2. So if you really like it, then you're going to be pleased with the disc. But the first one is way better.
Yeah.
Have you seen this one?
Not since it came out. I think like you, I saw this in the theater. I was like, okay. And I don't think I picked up anything after that. I was just like, it kind of like, I remember Child's Play was the same way with Chucky. And you were like, the first one, that was pretty cool. And then after that, you're like, all right, now it's getting crazy. Yeah, it's like you go to see the second one and you're like, well, that didn't go well. So
the other thing that's weird about these, if you do watch them both now, is there's a very odd thing whereby the first film is clearly shot in England. It's clearly shot in London. The exteriors are clearly London, and yet at the start then of this one, the officers that turn up have got American uniforms on, and they just try and make out that it was America all along, and it's just weird. And I can't, and the reason is I looked it up on IMDb. It's because the production company thought that people would be more likely to see it if they thought it was in America than if they thought it was in London. So it's just bizarre. And so that was jarring as well. But there it is. It comes in the set. If you buy the box set, you've got it to watch. But get the first one. This one, not so much.
Yeah. All right. Before we get to the next one, we've got a couple of comments in the chat that I wanted to mention. We got Ian a little while ago said, send me to Africa. I could use a vacation and some sun instead of the constant rain and cold we have in Scotland at the moment. So, and what's funny is this is why I'd never get to that part, but it's stuff like that, like Ian's comment, like if we got enough money, that's where it would go. That's like, I'd be like, I'm sending Ian on location and all I want is like, here, I'll pay for your flight. Like the podcast, I'll pay for your flight. I just want you to stand in the street and be like, yeah, I'm here in Africa and wherever you would be, and be like, yeah, I haven't been invited into a theater yet. Back to you, Deej. I thought that'd be that's our home theater experience. But I'm like, that's how stupid I am. Money, I'm like, well, whatever, that would be funny, right?
Well, as someone who's been all over Africa, I highly recommend South Africa. The safaris down there are incredible. That place is just bizarre. It's an awesome place, but boy, is it incredible.
It is one of the places I'd love to go. I absolutely would love to. That's one. I'm not into traveling, but I'd love to go to like Africa, see Egypt, go do a safari. There's stuff that you just can't experience anywhere else in the world.
I mean, I went with my mum for 10 days and we flew down there, and because it's on the same date line, so it's literally north to south. from the UK. It's the same timeline, so that you don't lose any time as the travel. So there's no jet lag because all the time we got is fine. And I mean, we flew in, landed at like 10 o'clock in the morning. We were on safari by about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and literally we were in the game preserve for 5 minutes, and a herd of 40 elephants just walked right past us. You could virtually touch them. That was incredible. We saw some amazing stuff in that 10 days. So yeah, highly recommended. But long way to go to just do a 5-minute podcast sequence.
But if it's paid for, I'd go.
Yeah, what you can't complain.
And it's a vacation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got it paid for, and all I got to do is make a home theater video. Okay. So maybe someday, you could dream. Van Gool's also saying Peacock has The Exorcist Believer on December 1st. So if you have Peacock, that would be great. If you don't have Peacock, don't get it for that. I enjoyed it. It had a home theater. It was a decent home theater experience, my wife and I. But at the end of it, I liked the first Exorcist better. So, all right. Oh, boy. All right. I'm glad my buddy Travis is in the chat for this, I hope. Because, we typically don't get very political on this station, on this show, in this channel, station, whatever you want to call it, right? You can tell I don't script any of this. I'm just like, this is what's up next. Here we go. So, but I did get a great education in, our legal process and everything, and politics and all that. So we're going to bring a little politics to the show with this little ditty. Legally Blonde. So as a home theater experience, don't go running out and buying this. The colors are nice. There's lots of pinks. And but I mean, you really want to see this movie for the knowledge that you gain about, the legal system and how everything is managed and what it takes to be a good lawyer, Steve, right? I mean, this is right up your alley. Was this shown when you were in school? When you were at university?
Not only was it not shown, I've never seen it. However,
how do I even know you're a good lawyer then? Come on.
Well, you don't. You got to speak to my clients if they weren't in prison. Oh, damn! Hang about. That's not. Right, is it? But the number of students that I get that I sweat because when we used to do the initial sessions, we get them to stand up, and me being me, this is an icebreaker with advocacy. So learning to talk in an open setting, I get students to stand up, say their name, where they did their law degree, and then their favorite film or TV show and why, me being me. And the number of times students say Legally Blonde is crazy, more than any other movie. This gets mentioned all the time, and I've never seen it. I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, the only reason we saw it is
Ow, Travis, what did I do to you?
Well, you can't blame them.
I can try.
You can try. No, Jen she went to see the musical. The high school that she teaches at did read the musical, or did the musical, because it is on Broadway in New York, or was. And so she was going to see it. We had never seen the movie. So how could I turn her down? I'm like, all right. She's like, do you want to watch it with me? And I'm like, sure, that'll be fun. So I think we did this Friday night. Or maybe it was Saturday. I don't know, but it was fun. I think you would have fun with it. I mean, there's some legal jargon thrown in there that's fairly accurate. Like where they get the difference between, like, I can't remember what it was, but it was like reasonable doubt versus, I can't remember what the other one was, but I was explaining, and Jen's like, what? Well, you're always looking for reasonable doubt. And I'm like, no, there's certain cases where it's not about reasonable doubt. It's you just trying to, it's a different situation. And she's like, oh, because it wasn't like a criminal offense where somebody did something to somebody else. This was something where you have to, I can't remember what it was, but there was a couple of times in the movie that created like oh my God, that's actually kind of accurate. but it was fun. But here's where it gets even worse. We were like, we thought it was awful, but we had fun with it anyways. And we're like, you want to do Legally Blonde 2? So we did that one, but we watched that upstairs watching dinner. And it's like by the time we were done with dinner, which is like, 10, 15 minutes into the movie, she goes, you can put on whatever you want. I go, oh, no, it's like a train wreck. It's like, I got to see how this thing plays out. It is awful. Absolutely, like beyond awful that you're just, once you've done Legally Blonde, I was like, all right. We found it on, we watched it for free on regular. I can't remember where we found it, but it's absolutely awful. And it's like and then she went to Washington, and it's how they institute a bill and everything. And you're like, oh my. But there was one part towards the end of the movie, Legally Blonde 2, and Jen looks at me and she goes, they're doing exactly what they did in the first one. Like the same story arc and everything. And like her points were like literally ripped. I go, this whole movie is the first one. It's just in a different setting. So, but there's times when you're watching it and you're like, do these actors know what movie they're in? Like when you're making this movie, there's some decent people in here, like Sally Fields in Legally 2. But yeah, it was pretty funny. So,
yeah, I steer clear of legal dramas generally anyway. The two that always leap to mind that are the exceptions to that rule are JFK, where there is some fantastic stuff in that. I suppose My Cousin Vinny as well. You can have that one too. That's great for different reasons. And then A Few Good Men as well, which I actually, but fantastic.
My Cousin Vinny was on the other night when Jen had the TV on. I go upstairs, go to bed. It was on. I was like, oh, Shawshanked. Like, love My Cousin Vinny. Love that.
Yeah. Well, of course, it's got your legal stuff, but it's got cars.
Yeah.
So it's right up your
cars. Oh yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. Eddie in the chat. He's like, Lucy, on the other hand, was fun. Yes.
How do we get to Lucy from Legally Blonde other than the alliterative title?
I don't know. I don't know, but anytime somebody talks about Lucy, I'm going to bring it up. It's like,
I've got my iPad here. I can watch it.
I know. It was like the birth of our friendship. Or was it Midway? I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it was Midway.
Lucy was what triggered the contact directly, I think.
Yeah, that was funny. All right, let's see. You ready for the
movie? It's like a Christmas movie.
Happy to see that my collection of blonde is limited to Atomic. Yes,
nice, Steve.
That's Stephen at in the chat. Yeah. All right, you ready for it? Yep, it's Steve's Christmas season. So let's get to this one.
Oh yeah, and again, can I just apologize, people, for the dreadful photo? But that's literally how it looks.
Yeah, you could tell. Yeah, you could tell because look at how crisp the like play settings and scenes looks, and then you see
when I first saw this is Trading Places. By the way, guys, sorry, in 4K disc, Paramount release.
Yes.
And in DTS HD 5.1 master audio. When this came on, I thought, please tell me that's not the quality of the video, because otherwise we're in a lot of trouble. Because it just looks terrible.
Looks like a whole movie.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I thought, why? I mean, why when they're authoring a disc? Does someone go, just chuck that on, it'll be all right. Just blow up the poster and then just chuck that on. They won't care. Thinking, well, we do. But there we go. So anyway, so Trading Places. This is my first Christmas movie of the year. And I was trying to see Violent Night this week, but I just, for reasons, I didn't get around to seeing that. This was the only Christmas movie of the week. And I mean, you've obviously seen this movie, Deej. Everybody's seen this movie, surely, loads of times. And it is a stone cold 24-karat gold classic, isn't it? In every way.
Quoted it all through high school. Yeah, it was like,
I mean, I think
great movie.
Critic proof. Yeah, it's a classic film. I absolutely love this movie. And so it is still every bit as good as it always was. And I dread to think how many times I've seen it. I don't know, as many times as Star Wars, probably not, but certainly lots of times. And it's still fantastic, and I really enjoyed watching it again, and it holds up. There are some obviously questionable racial stereotypes, and some of the sexual politics is of its time, But if you can get beyond that, and you're not supposed to take any of that seriously, then it's still a very, very enjoyable film. You know, it's great. And I'm pleased to say, notwithstanding the terrible menu, that it looks and sounds absolutely awesome. I mean, it's not demo worthy, but it's a John Landis.
Well, it's a comedy.
Well, quite. But and also John Landis never really shot his movies in that way. They were never designed to be, you know, lookers, as it were. But it still does look very, very nice. You can get lost looking at all the various tweed of the suits and again the ties and the shirts and all of that now in 4K looks razor sharp. So you can kind of, you know, look at all of that and have fun with all the old technology that they've got, you know, the old TVs on their desks and all this kind of stuff. But it all looks great. The colors are fantastic. And obviously it's at Christmas time. You've got the beautiful green of the Christmas trees, the red of the scarf that Lewis wears, and some of this Dan Aykroyd's character, you know, all these things, and of course the snow, white and beautiful. Yeah, Lewis. Yeah, and obviously that shot of Jamie Lee Curtis, which defined many of our teenage years. So yeah, and it all looks exceptional. So it looks great, and it also sounds fantastic as well. Obviously, up next to Neural X, Mozart, the opening kind of movement of Mozart that's on the credits sounds amazing. And it's you know, it's not quite as if you're, you know, in a room with the orchestra, but it still fills the room exactly as you'd want it to. It sounds great, and for this kind of movie, it's perfect. So not quite as transformative as Duel and Hellraiser in terms of seeing the movie in a new light, but very, very good in and of itself, and well worth picking up. And you know, when this hits $10-15, you know, you pick it up. I mean, it absolutely has to be bought. Is it on Kaleidoscope, Deej? Do you know?
I think so. I forget off the top of my head. I think I already have it. I can't remember off the top of my head right now.
No.
But yeah, it's been out for a little while though, hasn't it? Like
over here, no, it's not. It's only come out here last week, I think it was.
Really?
It may have been out over there longer. I mean, very often they are, but it's it's only come out here very, very recently. But it's so good in 4K. I see some of the guys here saying, yeah, it is available in Kaleidoscope on HDR, Nelson says.
Okay.
So
cool.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, great. Oh, and Carl says it's on sale via Kaleidoscope as well.
Oh,
so,
there we go.
Nice. Okay. Oh, well, there we go. But yeah, very, very good indeed. And I was so pleased with this disc. Again, notwithstanding the dreadful menu. Oh, well done, Carl. Look at that. Picked it up today. There we go. Good man.
Nice.
So yeah, definitely recommended. Again, I mean, I've still got so many Christmas movies to go through. I will do National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation again. Violent Night is next on my list because I haven't seen that in 4K and Atmos yet. So I'm looking forward to that. But so many to see.
Dom says in the chat, he goes, 4K menus on discs are extremely lazy most of the time. DVD menus were much more creative, but I'll take better picture and sound over better menus. And exactly it. And the other point I'd say is you're also comparing those menus to the picture and sound that you were dealing with back then. It's now it's like they, you know, you can't, yes, some DVD, some Blu-ray or Blu-rays and 4Ks actually do have really nice menus, but when they don't, it's like, you're not saying don't buy it because of that. We're also comparing it against far superior content than a DVD was. It's like, it's easy to compete with a DVD. You got 480 resolution and you make a nice, you know, make a nice menu for it. And you're like, ooh, look at that. Plus that was DVD for a lot of people was your first experience at menus. Because you didn't have a menu on VHS, right? So unless you had Laserdisc, most people's first experience with a menu that was it, you know, and it was, so you're going to have that a little bit of nostalgia there too for that and be like, oh, why can't they make this even better now? And like, I mean, they don't do it anything like they did with, which Terminator edition was it, where it told you the weather in your area and everything, you know, but you had to have your Blu-ray player had to be connected to the internet, and it would Skynet was telling you everything. That was really cool and interactive. Now they're just like, let's just keep quality.
I'm okay with static menus. I don't mind it, you know, but you want them in focus and you want them to look sharp. I mean, even if you look at the dollars around the edges, they're all in focus, and then you just get this bizarre It looks like a pirate video thing in the middle. But and as I said, I couldn't care less about them generally either. It's just this one stood out. But actually, Jordan, because I think we mentioned this at the time, actually, the menu for plane was really cool. That one starts off as a flight safety video. And it's like, thank you, boarding Plane Airlines.
Right.
And you get all the stuff. It is fun. It is fun.
And the best part is, it's like you and John, when it's that really nice interactive menu that everybody wants, you and John come on and go, I couldn't get a good pitch of the stupid interactive menu. So you complain about a nice interactive menu. You complain about just something that you don't even care about anyways. You guys are just never happy.
The trials and tribulations of a podcaster, they
I know
about us.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh man, so great. All right, what do we got next here? Oh my, here we go.
No spoilers, please. Haven't seen it yet.
Nope, I'm not doing spoilers for anybody. But I am going to. I'll tell you right now. Let's bring it up for everybody first, so everybody can see exactly what I'm talking about here. Bringing it to the stage, because it does say back here, add to the stage. Coming to the stage, we have the creator. All right, the creator. Read. If you haven't seen it, it isn't. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to tell you anything about it other than I am literally blown away by the movie. If we want to do a chat, if we want to do a takeover Tuesday, I'll take like the first 3 people and we'll have a round table discussion, spoilers, everything. There is so much to this movie story-wise. The home theater experience is awesome. It didn't crack. I don't believe it's cracked my top 5 for the year, but it is a great home theater experience. The sound, the picture. There's a scene with Allison Janney where a tear is running down her face, and it's like, it is so subtle that like literally if your system isn't dialed in right, you might not even see it. It's just, but it's shot so well. I mean, the darks, the shadows, the details, and there's a ton of CGI in this. It's a sci-fi movie, but the story, oh my God, I don't want to ruin it for anybody because I had no idea what this is about, and I had a little bit of misconception of what I thought this movie was going to be. I don't want to tell you what my misconception is because then you'll know like, oh, so it isn't that. So, okay. But it was absolutely amazing. I kind of want to leave it at that. It's like I came upstairs and Jen doesn't care about spoilers. So she's just like, oh, right, great. She's lets me sit there and just talk about it. So that's what we did. We went out that night and we had a long drive on our way out. And I was just like, and it was like, so good. So good. But here's my another tweak of the week. Because the creator is in the 276 aspect ratio. Now, if you're not exactly sure what that means, there you go. So those bars I made are for my a standard like 240, 235 minimal difference on those two, but I put those up and this is what it would look like because it's actually narrower. Okay. So I was like, all right, maybe I could just pop my bars in, wouldn't look too bad. And what I saw was this with the lights out. And I'm like, that's not cool. Because you can see like, that's a pretty bright scene there. And it's kind of blown out on the YouTube version. But, and I just snapped that quick. So my mind went to work. First thing I thought of, back in the closet, I've got a stack of old Brightside Chat t-shirts. So turn them inside out and tuck them in the gaps. And that actually worked until the last one went in up here. If you're looking on YouTube, up in the top corner, that the last one got placed there. I was able to get this picture, but it wasn't stable enough because that last one added too much weight. So it ended up being, because I'm literally, if you look at the top, you look there, it's like I'm just rolling them up and stuffing them in. it actually played pretty good because you could see at the bottom there, it's like you could see a little bit of the screen through it, but when you sat down, it was like, if I had to, I can just puff it up and it would have hidden it fine once the lights went out. This is with all the lights on, right? So that didn't work. So I immediately went to work and did this. This is what's right behind me here in the theater. So needed a little bit of velvet. Found some velvet, tucked it in top, doop, 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 all the way across. Grabbed my trusty staple gun, stapled the velvet here to the bottom. You'll see down here, pulled that one down, stapled the velvet to the bottom of the screen, popped that one up, voila. 20 minutes later, all set, ready to go. And that's what it looked like from my seat. And then what's cool about Kaleidoscape, you can see it's like, so they know that people are using masking. All your pause stuff, all your menus, they always go in between. They don't stay up at whatever screen you have. So they always go in between. So you see it. That's what it is right there. Kaleidoscape says it's a 220 aspect ratio, I think, or something like that, but it's not obvious. Or maybe it said 240, but it definitely didn't say 278. So, and I push play, that's the beginning, and my lovely masking worked perfect. So, and it made a difference. Nice contrast, beautiful image, as you could see there. Yeah. So it was really, really, and that, like I said, that took me like 20 minutes to do. And the whole time I'm like, how am I going to do? Can I do this again? So I had to pull it all down, obviously, afterwards. But next time I watch the movie, I've got that stuff all folded neatly in the corner. I haven't put the t-shirts back neatly, but, but yeah, highly recommend The Creator. Definitely check it out.
Just gonna drop this one at Deej because Ian doesn't normally give us his views, and I saw on Twitter a couple of days ago that he put out a tweet saying, "Is this worth picking up?" And I think you responded actually, and yes. I said I hadn't seen it and let us know, and he said, "Oh, I'll drop into the chat." So, and I said, let us know what you think. So Ian says, "I just wanted to let you know my thoughts on The Creator. Thoroughly enjoyed it. The movie has some fantastic LFE. I didn't crank the volume as high as I usually do to give my neighbors a break." So this is the digital version as well. This is the iTunes version, I think, is what he showed. So interesting that there's a lot of LFE even on that, which is interesting. Is this the elevator pitch? Travis says in the chat, when he meets the golden child.
Kind of. I think I would say. The problem with that is the golden child kind of brings your perception down a little bit, and there's a ton to talk about in there. It's like, there so many topical subjects were hit in this movie. It's topical of like in it, and it's not even just like in this generation. It's you could make this movie at any time and be like, yep, that's topical. 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 40 years from now. There's so much to talk about with this. It's just such a, but the home theater side of it, yes, the LFE is amazing. There's pans, there's, everything moving around your room. Absolutely amazing. Definitely.
Tell me this thing.
I would say I didn't see it streaming, but knowing what I know, it's just more dynamic. It's got to be more dynamic physically, but.
So tell me this then, Deej. I mean, obviously, is this one like Dial of Density and Maverick that would be worth getting it? Because we don't get the 4K disc till mid-January. I think we get it here. Would it be worth buying the digital version for $11.99 to see it early, or not?
I wouldn't say, not like we did with Maverick, right? Like what we did with Maverick was. It was just so iconic, right? And the difference was so glaring. Whereas this movie, I feel like there is a difference. And like I said, I haven't experienced the stream yet, but just knowing what I know. But I also know the movie itself is so dynamic that it plays well streaming. Okay. I don't think, as like Ian said, I don't think you would be disappointed if you watched it streaming and you because you don't know the difference yet, right?
Yeah.
And it might save you some money because maybe it doesn't speak to you like it spoke to me. Right. And then you'd be like, I don't know what DJ is talking about, but now you only spent $11. But I think that when you're done with it, you'll be like, all right, I got to get that in 4K. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't give you a guarantee like we all did with Maverick and dial a density and stuff. But yeah, it's like, I think if you liked it, you would definitely be buying it, and you would experience the bump in sound. Picture might be minimal. It's not like the picture didn't blow me away, but I got to imagine that when you bump up, you know, on physical media with the picture and this and all the detail that you do get to see, there's going to be a slight bump to that. But definitely, as we always say, it's usually the sound is the biggest thing. So
yeah, okay. I'm curious when Ian put that up, and I'd seen that you'd seen it and liked it. I was seriously considering that if I didn't have a pile of stuff here to watch that I haven't got to yet. But I am very curious by this. I'm not going to tell tales out of school, but someone in the chat had seen it early and would kind of put me off it prior to its release, and had some.
It could be polarizing. It could be polarizing. Like you might like it spoke to me in a certain way. Like, and that's why I'd love to get somebody on that didn't like it, right, and talk to them as well. So like that's why I said like if 4 people on and talk spoilers, talk this, like what didn't you like about it? I think everybody would agree the home theater side of it is really good, but maybe you don't like it and you don't like the idea of it. But those are the fun conversations because like there's reasons that it spoke to, like I was like, oh my God, and I love how things play out, and we do that all the time, you know. So and it's, you know, same as like you and I just going back to Invisible Man. It's like, I didn't like it. And then you're like, whoa, we have a conversation. You know, I'm like, oh, that's an amazing movie, you know? So, but yeah.
And Ian said, so he'd definitely be adding the 4K release to his collection. Yeah, no, I am intrigued. But as I said, I mean, the person that I'm referring to, and you know who I'm referring to.
Yeah.
The person who I'm referring to also had some very interesting behind the scenes stuff as well, and I think that kind of filtered into it. But I do intend to see it. I'll either get the digital version and see, or I'll just wait and I'll buy the 4K disc. But I am very intrigued by this, and and you know me, I mean, I like the visual side of it as well. And whatever else the story is, I understand the visuals are fantastic. And Gareth Edwards directed it, of course, famously shot the movie and then just added in all the effects afterwards with a, you know, almost like from his bedroom, as I understand it, and all kind of just done in a, you know, in a very low key way, but you know, meant they could put all that money on the screen. So yeah, I'm very curious by it. And getting more intrigued by all these comments as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's really cool. Really cool. Fun. Great conversation piece for sure. So let's see, what do we got coming up next? I gotta fast forward to your there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You ready for this?
Yeah, this should stimulate some discussion. Okay, so
there we go.
Now, have you seen this, Deej?
Yes. That's who's that right there on screen?
That's Clive Owen.
Clive Owen. Yeah. You said I was almost going to say Clive, but yeah, Clive Owen. I don't remember. I know I've seen it. I love Clive Owen, but I'm trying to. I don't even remember it. When you start talking about it, I'll be like, oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah. But I do remember seeing it. I just don't remember the movie.
Good. I wasn't sure if you had. Yeah. So this is those listening rather than watching on YouTube. This is Children of Men on Blu-ray. It's only 1080p, and it's in 5.1 DTS HD MA. Although, as we always say, upmixed to Neural X. And I picked this kind of as a bit of a random rewatch. I've seen it many times, but I've not seen it for a while. And this is directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who of course directed Gravity and famous for long takes and of single shots that are stitched together. And Children of Men it's about a future London, future England, where a very right-wing authoritarian government have come in, and for reasons that are never explored, deliberately so, mankind have stopped making babies. So everybody is getting older, and there are no babies being born. And the youngest person in the world, as the movie begins, is aged 18 and dies. And so what happens is into the main character's life comes a pregnant female, and he is given the task of trying to get her to the coast where people may or may not be waiting to help her. And it's a very bleak, very, very dystopian view of England. Some might say we're well on our way there, but we're not going to bring politics into it. So I picked this kind of randomly to watch it, and I did, and I love this film. I think this film is fantastic. It is intelligent science fiction, I would call it. I don't know if it necessarily is sci-fi, but I think of it that way. And it's intelligent stuff. It's a riveting story, and it's great home theater. And that's kind of it's this lovely mix. It's not quite as showy as Gravity, but nothing is. But it's got some incredible stuff to it, and it starts at the very beginning. Funny enough, that's a shot from near the beginning where he goes into a coffee shop, buys a coffee, and as he walks out, there is then an explosion, and the bass on that is so deep that just rattles the whole room. So yeah, it's a very, very good story. The disc still holds up. It still looks and sounds amazing. I do wish they'd do a 4K version of it, and sooner or later they might do. But it's a universal release, so that would be nice. And if they did this in DTSX, it would be absolutely stunning. But as it is, it's still very, very good, and well worth seeing. And you've got a lovely extended action sequence where you've got people with guns chasing a car that's being pushed down the road, an attack on a car. It's all done in one shot. One shot is the camera sort of goes in and out of the vehicle, and it moves around, and it's all done in a one take, apparently. And then you get towards the end a nice Saving Private Ryan-esque attack on a cityscape, and then again the camera is going, it's all in one with tanks firing stuff, guns going off, people are screaming, there's blood hitting the lens and then magically disappearing. It's really, really good, holds up so well. And if you haven't seen it in a while, DJ, I'll be surprised, you've probably got the Blu-ray somewhere, but if you haven't seen it in a while, or if it's on Kaleidoscape, and I imagine it would be dirt cheap, this is well worth revisiting. And I was going to say to John about it, because John's an Anglophile, and I was going to say to John, if you haven't seen it, John, see it. So if you're listening, John, see it.
Yeah.
And because I'd be curious to see kind of what you guys make of it, not having seen it for a while, and having both recently watched Gravity, to see kind of what you make of this, because it is fantastic. It really is. And Eddie says only 1080p in Kaleidoscape.
Yeah, 1080p.
Which is not surprising, but still, it holds up very, very well. So yeah, I recommend this. It's really, really good. $15 on Kaleidoscape. Cool, that's a bit expensive. Bear in mind how old it is, but it's well worth it. And it'd look amazing on the bigger screen. So yeah, definitely recommend this. And I had a great time revisiting it, albeit it is very, very, very bleak indeed. Oh, look at that, John. See, right. So John said, this is one of my films. I was doing this at the same time as Casino Royale. Is that some different version of Casino Royale, John?
Yeah.
This is a spin-off, Casino Royale, totally different. I thought this might be, John. I thought it might be something that you'd be, linked to, but such a good movie. And very well done.
2006.
Yeah.
2006. So I just pulled it. Oh yeah. Yeah. But I don't think I've seen it since 2006, because it is like that. It is so bleak that you're like, but it is a good movie, like you said. And you're like, what was the one? It kind of reminded me in a different way. The Charlize Theron movie, based on the comic book, and it's kind of the same idea. John and I talked about it a few years ago during COVID, and they had literally, like, the whole planet, they couldn't reproduce anymore because of a virus had gone through the planet. And it's, oh my God, I love the movie too, but it's that same idea, like apocalyptic type tale. You're like, oh no. And this is a more realistic version.
Yeah, quite. It's really. I mean, Michael Caine's in this as well. There's people that you forget about. Peter Mullen's in it, who's really, really good in it. Peter Mullen, who's got a small role in it, but he's very, very good. And as I said, Aeon Flux. There you go, Deej. Aeon Flux.
There we go. Aeon Flux. Love that movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
So I do recommend this. I mean, it's well worth revisiting it. If you haven't seen it since 2006, again, because it is a lot of discussion to be had. But for home theater, you'll just be like, oh my God, and then this happened, and then that happened, and it all, it's got the same sonic creativity of Gravity, but obviously they had to be much more creative on this because of the budget. But it's got that same kind of oral tricks of the camera as it moves. Everything moves with that camera. So when there's attack on a car and there's a Molotov cocktail thrown, and then the camera moves around within the vehicle and it all moves with it. So it's very, very well done. Here we go. Say again. Yeah, there you go. Well, that makes sense then. So yes, we've got mixed the same time as Casino, 24-hour days. No comment as to why then Alfonso would sleep at the back of the mixing theater while we worked on Casino. But you can see why, because it's so well done that it does stand out even after all this time. So yeah, I really recommend it. So I had a great time watching it, notwithstanding the bleakness of the subject matter and the day-to-day stuff, the bleakness of the news. But yeah, really, really good.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, thanks, John, for that. That's awesome. I will be asking you more about that, John, in some point in the future.
Stacey Can? New? Are they new? Stacey Can?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Are they new? Welcome. If you're new.
So.
It says, didn't love creator. Watched on Kaleidoscape. The picture was disappointing. Very grainy. Grain has its place, but not my preference for a sci-fi. Editing timelines were messy. Pacing of third act was a rush. I agree on that. It did have some grain to it. You're right. I'm just so into it. I didn't feel like any of that took away from it on me. But yeah, and like I said, this isn't one. I thought the picture, the details that you did get, I thought were nice. I thought the black levels were nice when you needed them to be. I thought the sound was kind of the real winner in this, as opposed to the picture, and that's why I was like, I think if you can see it on streaming, you'll definitely get an improvement if you buy the physical later. But it is like, Stacey didn't love it, and that's fine. But I think it is kind of a polarizing type of a movie. Maybe not super polarizing, not like you love it or hate it, but you might not like. I really, really love this movie. So, but it's, but that's not for everybody. So, but home theater wise, it's definitely, I think it's pretty good. John, glad you like the explosion.
Push that in the mix to wake up Alfonso.
Nice. There you go.
John, remind me when we meet, John, remind me to ask you about that. I want lots more information about Children of Men.
Yeah. All right. We're getting to, oh boy. Now, have you even seen this yet, Steve? No.
It's coming tomorrow. It's coming tomorrow.
Oh,
yeah.
Here we go. All right.
I'm a little bit worried, Deej. I am worried.
Why?
Well, because one of the reviewers on Twitter today, actually, I think it was Jeff at HD Report. I think it was Jeff. Apologies, Jeff, if it's not you, forgive me. But someone said it's a sub killer. And so if it's another overpowering mix like Halloween Ends,
no, it's not that bad.
That will affect my enjoyment. Oh, well, good. Oh, thank goodness for that.
Right, no. It is. I did. All right. So let me just tell everybody, we're talking Oppenheimer. John Thompson in the chat. Get ready. Here we go, buddy. Eddie saying no spoilers. Of course. I mean, it's historical, so I'm not going to spoil that. But yeah, but not like you would think. Like I told you before, I've had people come up to me and go, I thought there were going to be more explosions. No, it's not an action movie.
On a film. Yeah.
I haven't seen this on disc yet. I've seen it streaming. I've seen it once. Completely through on Kaleidoscape. And it is a 220 aspect ratio. And the stream is also a 220 aspect ratio. The disc is 220 and then the 178. So it jumps, so you'll get your full screen on there. And so obviously I saw it. I started last night at midnight because it dropped on the stream, and I took in all the extras. So I was up until about 2 a.m. messing around with it. But I didn't really want to watch it until I had the opportunity to get, and I kept checking my Collide. I'm like, nope, it's not available. It was downloaded, but they didn't tag it, like letting me tag you're in. I didn't get that while I was up at 2. So I got up early this morning and watched it on Kaleidoscape, and then went back and started watching it like back and forth between the two. I think one of the things that Christopher Nolan did here, obviously on purpose, but it also kind of worked out with his contract and everything. But it's, I was watching one of Shane Lee's videos last week, and he was talking about like, oh, people talk about physical media, they love physical media, but then the same person will tell you they're waiting for the sale. And he's like, you're killing physical media if you're waiting for the sale, because they're gonna, you know what I mean? You got to put your money where your mouth is. So you say that, but then Christopher Nolan does this, and he basically tells you like, get the physical. And I'm telling you the same thing. It's like, I did both here. I'm telling you not to get the physical, because the picture is, I want to say night and day, but I don't want to be, hyperbolic or whatever you say. But I noticed right away going back and forth that I was like, wow, the picture it's the brights, and they do mean a lot. And again, I haven't seen the variable aspect ratio yet, but the brights on this are so important. And it's like, it's overwhelming when you watch it, the disc at first, and you're like, oh my God, there's like the windows in the background, because they're trying to get the light on the characters, and especially in the black and white scenes. And it's just all the way through this movie. I'd seen it 3 times in the theater, not as many times as John in the chat has, but
Chris Nolan hasn't seen it as many times as John.
John has, yeah. And I can watch this. I cannot wait. The disc is probably waiting for me upstairs, and I'm skating tonight, so I can't watch it tonight. But I'm going to go back through with the variable aspect ratio and experience it all over again, and I'll tell you all about it again next week. But I'm telling you, to me, this is my movie of the year. Nothing's going to beat this in the next 5 weeks. Home theater wise, it's my movie of the year. It's my movie of the year for the movie of the movie of the year. There you go. Evil Dead Rise. It is stunning from beginning to end. Audio wise, there is a scene, I won't tell you where it is in the movie, but there is a scene that when you get to it, you'll know, maybe you'll know what I'm talking about if you have a decent sub setup. I texted Todd, Base Hunters Todd, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's installing the infrasonic fairly soon. And I said to him, I'll read you I won't read it, but I basically said to him, I'm like, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm inviting myself to your house because I'm coming down. And he lives like 5-6 hours away. I'm like, I'm coming down to see this scene with a sub, infrasonic sub, because even in my room, and it's all the way through this movie, it's not a bass killer like Halloween Ends was. It's more of like how the pacing of this movie, how it just, not just the bass either, the use of the overheads, the use of the score throughout this movie. And then there's one particular scene where the movie is like this, you hear the score playing, but then there's also this ticking going on, and it's not really like a clock ticking, like a tick, 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 tick. It's almost more like a crunch, and it's going overhead, but it's overhead towards the middle of the room, like middle off the front wall towards you. And it all just sets the tension, because this movie from beginning to end is super tense. You're just like, oh, I mean, when I saw it in the theater with my son and my son-in-law, the first thing my son said was like, it was 3 hours long, but it felt like it was like an hour 45, because you're just on the edge of your seat. And it's the way not just the editing of it, but the sound of it. It just got you like, you're just riveted to the screen. You're just like, what the, and now in our theaters, in the intimate environment of our theaters, and getting to these sounds, they're so discreet to us. Absolutely amazing. And it's such a poignant film to begin with. And it's, pick a side, do whatever you want to do. But there's, again, I think like the creator, there's topics to be discussed here. There's just so much to this movie. But the home theater side of it, there is just so much to this movie. And like you said, with that bass and stuff, and it's not just the explosions. And there are explosions in the movie, but it's also Christopher Nolan's use of how this movie has sound all the way through. But then when he takes the sound away, pay attention to that. And it just makes everything just pop, right? And it's just like how he took the color away in parts of the movie and we went black and white. Literally Kodak had to invent black and white IMAX film for this movie. That was in one of the special features. And it means something. And how it's just absolutely amazing. And like I said, Eddie in the chat, it was a 91 gigabyte download, and it's also Universal's putting it out at 100 gigabyte disc. So everybody's covered there. It's just an absolute treat, sonically and visually.
Yeah.
It's not a sub killer. It is full on. It's just that you'll get that at times, but then the punches that you get too, and they're not overbearing. They're not like Lucy, like brrr, like your whole room's going to vibrate, but there are parts and it bears multiple viewings so that you even understand what sounds you're hearing, because there's sounds coming early in the movie that you don't even know what they mean until you see it a second or third time. And it's because of the timelines. I don't want to say it's Pulp Fiction-esque, but it's like different parts of history. You're going back and forth in the movie. So like the sound means something that you're hearing, but it's just an undertone. And with all of that said, and all of the stuff that goes on with Christopher Nolan movies, the dialogue is just like spot on. You're like, you don't miss a word. It's just dead on. And they talk about that in there was one of the characters, I forget who the actor was, but it was the first time he was on set with an IMAX camera, and they were in like they were in a room, almost like not a courthouse, maybe it was a courtroom or that type of a setting, right? And he's supposed to be at a desk, and he's like, all of a sudden the camera goes on, and he goes, like, he's like, what the? He goes, I think that thing's broken. He'd never heard one. Oh, no. And he's like, and he goes, and Chris just looked at me, they all call him Chris. He goes, Chris looked at me and he goes, just go, you're good. But they even say that in the specials, like the dialogue, you can barely use it when you're shooting with IMAX. So they've shot these things with, in was it 35 minutes? I forget, John will know, but whatever it was, they did the heavy dialogue in that, but I didn't miss. And that's what was so fun, having already seen the movie, watched as many of the specials as I could. Yeah. All the specials from the digital version. It's on iTunes. Watched all of those. And now you're seeing them play out in the movie. And I was expecting maybe to lose a little bit of dialogue on some of the scenes. Nope. It was just beautiful. And then also highly recommend the special features, because you see how they have to shoot it, like with the IMAX cameras and the depth of field. And like I said earlier, I mean, how perfect is it that I'm talking this week about my glasses and being able to see the difference. And that's what those cameras are about. It's like they get that camera and they show one scene where what's his name? Oppenheimer. See, I'm so excited. I forget these things. But anyways, he's playing Oppenheimer. He's at a desk and he's talking, and the camera's literally like this in his face. And he's got to do the acting like that, and he's got to act it all out. And it's just, you see the camera, like they're filming it for the extras, but it's way behind. But you see, like, there's a camera right in his face, and he's got to act. And when you see it in the movie, you're like, how did he even act normal on that one? That was ridiculous. But but they even tell you like the depth of field that you get because of like, it's like I think 2 inches is the depth of field on that particular lens they were talking about. So like the nose is in focus, but his eye isn't, and it goes back and forth, and you get all that. You see all that. And there was one part, they're in a hallway, they're talking, and because of the lens they're using, whatever, and the focus is on, he's in focus, Oppenheimer himself, he's in focus. And just because of the way the scene plays out, the wall on the left side of your screen, and it's carpeted. It's like a, whatever, but you can see the texture because it's perfectly in focus, but then it goes out of focus into the people that are standing next to him. Then it comes back around, and now you're in focus on Oppenheimer. It's just like, it's awesome. Awesome stuff. So, yeah, Cillian Murphy. Yeah. See, I'm just, he's amazing in it. Robert Downey Jr. absolutely amazing in it. He was in Soul. He played Han Solo. He was in Solo,
House of
right?
Ford. Oh
No.
Alden Ehrenreich. Alden Ehrenreich. Right.
Yeah. So he's in it in one of the behind the scenes things. They're sitting there and they're not even in costume or anything. They're just doing the extras. And he's sitting there and he looks at the camera and he goes, "It was just amazing." And now this is him. I'm kind of paraphrasing him. And he's like, "It was just amazing to be in the room. You're lucky. I just felt lucky to be in the room. This all-star cast you're with," and he names all the people like Matt Damon and Cillian Murphy and just go through the list, right? All-star cast. And then he just looks at the camera and he goes, "It's just so great to not have to F and lie about this stuff." Like when they do movies like this, they're like, "It was so great working with these people." He goes, but he was so happy. He goes, "It's so great. I don't have to F and lie about this." Like it was so awesome. So, but yeah. And one of the other specials, they do the Oval Office. Mm-hmm. So they had to make the Oval Office, but because of who played Truman in this, again, my mind's gone, but big actor played Truman. And because of his schedule, he could only come in at a certain time, and he was only there for I think it was 24 hours, right? So they're like, "We got to do this." And they're like, "All right, you got 5 days to build the Oval Office." And just watch that. Gary Oldman. Thanks, Tom. So it's great having a chat. I don't need a brain. I got a smartphone and I got smart listeners. That's all I need. Yeah. So Gary Oldman, anyways, his schedule, he could only be there for this window. And they find out later and they're like, "Okay, here you go." And the props department, for all intents and purposes, right? They had to build the Oval Office. Check that out on the iTunes special. I'm sure it's on the disc too. Check that out on what they had to do. And then they show you the scene. And when you see the scene, they're like, "They're filming the scene." And it still smelled like wet paint. So awesome stuff. So, are you going to see it soon?
I think with something like that, bear in mind the Oval Office has been built for so many different productions over the years. I mean, John might be able to help us with this. Do you think
Steve
in the studio?
Don't spoil it. Watch the special. Come back to me with what you're about to say.
Yeah,
it's all answered. You'll see.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I don't want to tell everybody. I'm like, see it. It's like, we got to build an Oval Office, but they have 5 days to do it. And that is part of the thing. It's been built before. How do we get it? Where do we get it? What do we got to do? So they're like, "All right, yeah, we could ship you that in a couple weeks." No, I got 5 days. So they got it done though. And you got to see, it's pretty, what I want to know is that's how big Gary Oldman is. That's how big these, and it's like, we've got a small schedule, and not just how big Gary Oldman is, but the idea that Christopher Nolan's like, "No, that's my Truman. So and we just found out he can only be here for this. Get that done." And everybody went, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." Like, "Okay, Chris, whatever you say, Chris." So yeah, it was really, really cool. But so much stuff. And again, just like any of that special edition stuff or any of the extras, Christopher Nolan is another one of those artists that they have something up here and come hell or high water, it's getting out. And they do say that in the special edition, like, he knows what he wants, but he's also open to how can we get this done. And that's how they did Oppenheimer. And definitely watch the special after you watch the movie. I forget the title of it, but there's one, it's only I think it's 9 minutes maybe. And they show you how they did it's all practical effects. There's no CGI. They did it all practical effects, and how they did it, how they came up with it. Really cool. It's kind of like old school filmmaking. Like, we want this effect. How do we get that? We're like, okay. Spin a glow stick around. I don't know. So it's pretty cool. So,
well, I will have it this
time. I'll have more next week. Are you going to have it for next week?
Yeah, I'll have it tomorrow. But I'm hand on heart. Whether I'm going to get 3 hours free to watch it, I don't know. And I do want to do it in one. This is not one of those movies I want to watch in bits. I need to block out 3 hours, and that's tricky. But I will see what I can do, because I have waited for this, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. So yeah, more next week.
Yeah. So Yeah, I'm very excited about this. I'll definitely be talking about it again next week with the aspect ratios. I've seen a few people comment on Twitter that it's awesome in the aspect, and I was really I was watching my Amazon. I had tried to actually go out and get it today, but it was sold out everywhere, or they didn't carry it or whatever. So I was going to buy it a third time just so I could have seen it before now. But hey, gives me another reason to watch it again. So, all right. Oh yeah. So we'll wrap up quickly. This is one we'll definitely talk about with John when he comes back. But we just thought how do you not mention pretty big event for Apple TV? So we're talking Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, the first 2 episodes 1 and 2, obviously. And what'd you think? Uh-oh. Not as excited as I was about Oppenheimer?
No, definitely not. Now, bear in mind, I'm a big fan of Godzilla movies. I'm the guy that likes the 1998 Godzilla. That's how low my threshold for Godzilla films is. I always rather like that film. I mean, it's cheesy and rubbish, but I really like it.
Yeah.
And the MonsterVerse that Legendary have created here in terms of Godzilla 2013, plus obviously Kong Skull Island, King of Monsters, Godzilla versus Kong. I love all of those films. I really like them and enjoy them. So I had very, very, very high hopes for this, and I was really looking forward to it. And when it dropped on Friday,
that never goes well.
Well, no. And I had the day off on Friday, and I thought, now is my chance. A rare day off. I've got the day to myself. I'm going to get into the cinema room, lock the door, and just not literally, and then just see both episodes back to back. It's Kurt Russell. It's Wyatt Russell. This is going to be great. And then I watched it. And as I was watching it, I thought to myself a couple of things. One, I was remembering John's words and his sage advice and counsel about this. And he said, which is the cliche when it comes to all Godzilla movies and that kind of stuff, is the least interesting part of any of these movies are the human characters. And as I was watching, I'm thinking, and someone thought, I'm going to make a Godzilla TV show, or with all these different creatures in it, but we'll just make it about the people. And so that was a problem, one. And then two, my thought was it would be nice if in this Monarch Legacy of Monsters movie that there'd be monsters occasionally would be nice. And there didn't really seem to be, other than right at the very beginning, a bit of rehash footage from Godzilla 2013, and then a ludicrously silly bat thing at the end, which looked a bit Jeepers Creepers to me. I was distinctly underwhelmed, I'm sorry to say, with the story. I think it was, I mean, I don't care about the mystery. I found that the time changing irritating, and I was not quite bored, but on my way to being bored.
Really?
And so I'm hoping, but I'm not off this yet, because only 2 episodes, and there's more to come. And I'm hoping that it's going to develop and it's going to become something better. At the moment, it's a bit dull for me. And even with Kurt Russell, by the way, he's supposed to be 91 in this. Based on the timeline, he's supposed to be 91. Does he look 91? Not in this. I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah, I don't know if I didn't do math. But all right, before we got Van Gool. Monarch is good and well done. Jordan, I've really enjoyed Monarch so far. I'm excited to see the rest of the series. Let's see. This is Eddie. I agree with Steve. Monarch is a little slow. And Eddie also says I was excited for it and I was disappointed. Boring. So various takes. So I liked it. I liked it a lot. And what I would say to you is, and Steve, and if it's like, yes, it is relatively slow. I didn't think it was wicked slow, but relatively slow, especially if you're looking forward to, a Godzilla movie or something of that nature, right? Where you're like, it's all about the action. And like John's right. It's like in typical Godzilla movies or any of these movies, it's all about the creature. It's not really, but the people are periphery. So yeah, I'm enjoying the backstory to all this, right? So it's like, this is like, imagine if there was a Godzilla novel written in like 1820 and they made all the movies about it and they just did all of the Godzilla part. And you'd be like, man, why aren't they giving us the backstory? But now we're going in reverse. And I'm in for that. And I'm fine with that. It's like, if they just kept doing the same old thing, what are you going to do? Have Godzilla just stomping around again? We've seen all that. And now we want to know how this happened. Maybe this is how it all woken up. He got woken up and all that. I mean, we've seen bits of it in the chat, but not the chat. I'm sorry, in the movies. But it's, to me, the story. And I do think as a home theater experience for Apple TV Plus, it's like just dead on. I mean, the picture looks great. I think there's that, the monster scenes, definitely your room comes alive. You would be hard pressed to tell the difference between this and like the Godzilla scene in the movie. And I'd imagine that if you froze it and went back to the movie, you'd be like, okay, kind of like I was with the Continental. And you're like, wow, this looks so good. And then you go and put on John Wick and you're like, oh, it don't look that good. You're like, how crisp a disc looks, right? So, but when you're watching this 2 episodes back to back, I was so disappointed. I thought, because when you go to do it, you'll see 3 there, but I hadn't read underneath the third one. It was like next Wednesday.
Coming.
It's coming tomorrow as we record this. So I'm loving it. And I love the story. I love the backstory. It's got just enough action to make it a Godzilla story. Just enough, like you said. But yeah, I mean, I know you wanted more. You wanted more action, but I think for the first 2 episodes of it, it is a little slow, but that's the point, in my opinion. That's the point of it. It's like, here we go.
It's why I think they released 2 episodes. I'm convinced that the reason they do 2 is because the first one's a bit slower, and they're hoping that 2 of them will establish more of the story. And I wanted to like it more. I love Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell is one of my favorite actors, and he can generally do no wrong for me. I could watch him read the phone book generally, but again, he's absent from episode 1 pretty much.
Yeah, he's only in like the last 15 minutes of the last episode.
Hopefully it'll pick up. Clearly he's in it more because from that picture, and it may be that it does pick up speed. But from those first 2 episodes, as a big fan of monster anything, you show me a creature feature, as we've well established in the past year that I've been on this show. Creature features are my bag. They are that will drag me to just about anything. And yet it's odd that they then, for the first 2 episodes, just produce of a monster series, then barely show you it. And what they do show you is recycled from something you've already seen. So it's just a bit strange, but I'm still here for it. I'm not checked out of it. I think if the next 2 episodes are like that, then I might end it there, but I don't think they will be. And we've seen from the trailers, there are more monsters to come, and there's more Godzilla, and he's going to be there, which will be great. And it might be that therefore then the slow build is worth it. From those first 2, when I ended that on Friday, I was thinking, oh, what, okay. And then moved on to something else. I think that might have been when I watched Hellraiser. But anyway, hopefully it'll be something decent and it'll build. But we'll see. And Kurt Russell generally I trust. And Wyatt Russell's good as well. I mean, he's great in Overlord, and he was he was fun as Captain America in
he was played a great
soldier. He was quite
jerk.
good in that as well. He is good, and he does. What I think is funny about this, though, and I was thinking as I was watching it, has a son ever played in real life the same role as his father? It doesn't have to be in the same series. Has it happened before? I
thought there was something even recently too where they did it, but I'm not sure.
Did Colin Hanks not play the same character that Tom Hanks played as? I think they might have done it. But he's doing an impression here. Wyatt Russell is doing an impression.
Isn't it great? And
it's fantastic. It is fun to watch. Yeah, that is fun.
It's that's one of the things that I've always liked about Kurt Russell too, is that he's like that sarcasm, right? And you get that, like, he's just the no guff sarcasm type person that you just, and then now you have, Wyatt doing the same thing. It's like, maybe he isn't as sarcastic as his dad in real life, but how do I play my dad? Just get sarcastic and you'll be like, you'll nail it, and Yeah. Oh yeah, Will Smith and his son in the.
Yeah, but they weren't playing the same role, though, were they? They were opposite one another, but they weren't playing the same role. Whereas I think Colin Hanks was playing young Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
So I think Will Smith in After Earth, they're not the same character. They're different characters just playing in a movie together.
John is saying, whoops, it moved. Tom Hanks.
So Tom Hanks, yeah. So Colin played a young Tom Hanks in the same movie.
Yeah.
So he was the younger character, I think. Man called there we go. I thought it was another one as well, to be honest, but I can't remember. But he's clear in this. Wyatt Russell is doing his dad. He is doing he sounds like him. He's got the same mannerisms. And of course he's seen him all his life. So I did like that. That was fun. And it felt a bit like Jack Burton at some point. It felt a little bit like Wyatt Russell is doing his dad, doing Jack Burton. Obviously from Big Trouble in Little China. And that was fun, and I was enjoying that as a big fan of Kurt Russell. And so that was the fun bit, but that's not enough to sustain a thing. Oh, and the other bit was the main character, Kate, is it? I think it is. I was sort of watching her and thinking, I've seen her before somewhere. Where have I seen her before? And then I realized that she was in a far better film, which is Ninja Assassin, which is absolutely awesome. And she's in that, and I knew I remembered her from that. I've seen that film more times than is decent. And so she's in that, and she's a Kiwi, by the way. So obviously,
there you go.
But it just needs more monsters, please, in our Legacy of Monsters series.
We'll talk about it next week, I'm sure. John will check out episode 3. I'll check out episode 3.
Yeah, I will do. I mean, I'll give it a go. Definitely. I'm not finished with it yet.
Yeah. You're so temperamental. It's so funny. It's like you're so smart, and then they bring some brains and thought to something. You're like, give me that. I just want a big green monster stomping on Tokyo.
Hell yeah.
It's like, what happened? and I'm like, I need the chat to be smart for me. I need my phone to be smart for me. I need you to be smart for me. And then I go and see Monarch, and I to pretend that I'm smart and go, this is a thinker.
Oh man. Don't call it Legacy of Monsters.
Yeah. Well, it's just a legacy of them. Didn't say there were going to be a lot of them. Yeah. Next week we're bringing. We'll definitely be talking The Fugitive, right? You're going to have that one done for next week?
Yep. Oh,
you already added it, but did you watch
it last night?
So we were talking about that last night on Patreon chat, and 8K transfer. Is that what it was? It was made from made to an 8K transfer, and that's what we're getting on disc with Atmos, by the way. And just dropped today on Kaleidoscape, 4K Atmos. Oppenheimer, it was 18K. Is what you get. It was in the specials, and they said like that's basically 18K is what you're shooting at, and that's what you're able to get. And when you see it on the screen, you're not kidding. It's ridiculous. John Thompson saying scan at 8K to a 4K workflow. So
and it shows. I mean, spoiler alert for next week, but it's very very nice audio and video.
I'm looking forward to it. I was so happy it dropped today. Sometimes we don't get them right away on Kaleidoscope, especially when it dropped. And then it's one of the first things I checked this morning. So I'm really happy. I've seen the movie excited many to talk about that one.
Yeah, but I've not seen it for a number of years, and it was a blast. Yeah, you'll be very pleased with that, DJ. If you haven't seen it for a while as well, it's great.
I watched the HD version a while back just because I figured a 4K would be coming soon. It was one of the ones I bought on Kaleidoscope pretty fairly early on. So early, like I'd forgotten. I'm like, I did have this, right? And I saw it. So, but I just wanted to be able to see like the HD version. And it looked really good then too on Kaleidoscape. So it'll be interesting to see the 4K.
This is a step beyond. It really does look fantastic. Yeah. So you'll be very pleased with this. Yeah. So we'll talk more about it next week. But I'm really chuffed with it. And bearing in mind, it's been a bit of a rough week for me. Had it not been bright, I would have had a real problem. But actually, it was a very pleasant distraction. So it's good. Yeah, really good.
Very good. All right. That will do it. Get well, John. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. If you're watching on the live, thank you in the live chat. Thank you everybody for participating in the chat. Great chat this week. As always, we always have a great chat. So I need you guys there because I can't keep up. But yeah, and if you're listening to this on Friday, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And you don't have anything over there this week, right, Steve? You're just normal work week for you, right, buddy?
Yeah, we're thankful all year round, not just once a year. DJ's point.
Well, we're just thankful. We're just thankful that one
happy
day.
Thanksgiving to everybody, everyone. Happy Turkey Day. And if you're not watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
In fact, funny enough, I've got the Blu-ray of the 4K disc of that, but I haven't watched it yet. I must do that for next week as well.
There you go.
So yeah, should be good.
All right. Have a great week. We'll be back. Rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff. All donations. We got another week left. I'll be pushing it again next Tuesday on the live show as well. A week left for the Movember. Every penny coming in goes to that charity Movember. Links are in the show notes. Basically, it is Men's Health. So, and it's paying off for me. I've got people telling me, like, some people like, DJ, what the hell are you doing? And then other people are like, DJ, that's kind of cool. And I'm like, I hate it. I do. I hate it. And that's if you listen to the audio only, that's the mustache got going. But yeah, not a big fan. I don't like the way it feels. Ugh. So, but it's for a good cause, and everybody's and I am getting comments. Sadly, it's pretty funny, which in it gets everybody talking about it. So much like our sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, all that fun stuff. So until next week, what are you gonna do?
Go push play.
What he said.